Chapter 10 My Journey into the Supernatural Realm. The following are a few of my testimonies of my journey with God over the years. There are times that I just spend in heaven in Father's throne room, in a spectacular garden, or some other almost indescribable spot. Other times I'm in the spirit on earth on various assignments, such as doing spiritual warfare or healing or raising the dead. Many times we journey to some of the areas on earth to assist different people. Some of my journeys are a combination of several places and multiple activities. One of my favorite spots in creation are the cascading waterfalls with suspension bridge that is depicted on the book cover. The main purpose that God asked me to write this book is to assist you with your own journey with God. The testimonies are taken, for the most part, straight out of my journal as I quickly wrote them while it was happening. Usually my journey with God takes place while I'm specifically spending quiet time with Him at home or at our special place on the beach of a beautiful lake. Raising the dead in the spirit. I was traveling with Jesus through a forest, arriving at a beach where two bodies had washed up on the shore. Jesus told me that there will be more bodies coming up. There were 5 bodies soon lying on the beach dead. I said, "Lord, what happened?" Jesus replied, "They drowned." "Are we going to raise them from the dead?" I asked. "Yes, but let's do some CPR first." I took a vial out of my bag and poured it in one man's mouth. His body became translucent, and I could see all the veins in his body, looking like trees. We repeated the same process for all of them. Suddenly the bodies rose from the dead and stood up. They all lined up like soldiers. Jesus gave each of them a scroll. After that, we all went to camp by a fireplace. I asked them where they were from, and they replied, "Tunisia." I said, "Wow, what happened to you all?" "There was a storm, the boat flipped, and we drowned." I said, "Are you Muslims?" They said, "We used to be. Now we are believers in Jesus." Praise God, to Him be all the glory. A diamond tree in my heart garden. I went to my garden where Jesus was waiting for me under this gorgeous sparkling diamond tree. He gave me a big yellowish fruit to eat, but I couldn't taste it. I asked, "What about that multicolor angel that we met the other day at the restaurant?" He said, "He's here." The angel came down and sat with us under the tree. I said, "Lord, can we battle together in the spirit?" Jesus said, "Yes." So both of us went to the weapon room where an angel pointed me to the strange-looking weapon with 360-degree blades all around it, with an axe, a sword, and with a mace on top. We went into a strange foggy place where an angel pointed at a dragon's head that came out of the fog. I threw this new special weapon at it and cut its head off, and the weapon came back to my hand like a boomerang. I threw my weapon out again until all the heads were cut off and the dragon was killed. Al joined the battle, also striking the dragon's body in 2 parts. After that, I saw a group of angels closing this evil portal in this dimension. Mighty ones. I walked with Jesus by these amazing multi-cascading waterfalls. The waterfall was on the left and rocks on the right. Jesus was wearing beautiful white linen. I was wearing my silvery full armor. We transported to a forest where there were mighty ones called Elohim angels wearing full body armor had us follow them. The angels' armor was amazing. Their shields were metal that had flames coming out of it. Their swords were blazing with golden fire that had silver handles. They were wearing metal shoes, breastplates made of iron, gold, and silver meshed together, with leather straps on their shoulders. They were wearing red robes of fire. Jesus and I followed them through the forest, arriving at the edge of a cliff over an escarpment. On the other side of the land, there were many dragons, hydras, and evil spirits. The Elohim angels began to shoot arrows with fire at them. But God will shoot them with His arrows. They will suddenly be struck down. Psalm 64:7. I flew with Isaiah, my horse, and chopped off 3 heads of the dragon. One hunter angel, also called a razor blade angel, shredded the beast to thousands of pieces. Deep into the ravine, which slopes very sharply down, came out a huge snake. Malachim angels came and burned it with fire. After this amazing victorious battle, the land united with a big loud noise. The Lord told me to speak life over the land, and the vegetation began to grow. Killing a Beast with Sandalphon Angels. March 20th, 2020. I went to my garden where Jesus and I were walking. Father came and we all sat down on a bench by the river. There was a goldfish doing laps in the water. I was so amazed how beautiful it was. Angels came and brought small golden cups on a pillow. Jesus gave me to drink from one of the golden cups. It looked like a thick golden liquid. Malachim angels, Moses, Paul, Peter, and John, came into my garden. They each had a scroll. Moses gave me a scroll and I ate it. It tasted bittersweet. Paul gave me a scroll. I ate it and it tasted like honey and butter. I was wearing the same full leather armor on with my sword. My horse Isaiah came nodding his head, anxious for the battle. I missed Isaiah as I caressed his mane. Father gave Al a scroll. A weird-looking dragon with many heads appeared. Warrior angels called Sandalphon Ishim surrounding this beast. One of the heads threw fire at me. One Ishim angel held his shield and deflected the fire at the beast. The fire burned its head and it moved away. With one swing, I cut off the one of the dragon's heads. Al chopped off another head. Then the rest of the heads were cut off by angels. The center body of the beast had a brain that was programming this beast. One angel told me, that brain has to be destroyed. I flew with Isaiah, penetrated its brain with my sword, and it exploded. Victory again in Jesus. After that, we all came back to my garden. Jesus congratulated us and put leis of purple flowers around our neck. Al and I both kneeled before Jesus and he said, "Blessed are you, my great warriors." Planting pine trees in my heart garden. I went to my heart garden where Jesus was under a tree waiting for me. We went for a walk where he showed me a row of weeds that needed to be pulled out. So we started to pull out shrubs, weeds, and dig them out from the roots. A healing angel came and poured oil in the holes. After that, we planted different trees: pine, juniper, acacia, and orange trees. We also planted many flowers such as pansies, lemongrass, purple flowers, white roses, and calla lilies. I scanned around the garden and spotted something hiding in the trees. I sent Iralim angels to kill an animal that looked like a buffalo, and I chopped a snake with my sword. There was also another small snake that was destroyed with fire. My garden was cleaned. Adventures with my king in Tel Aviv. I met Jesus under a tree, and he said, "I've been waiting for you." He was wearing a white robe, and he had a strapped bag over his shoulder. I sat next to him, leaned over his shoulder, then he kissed my forehead. He said, "Come, we have work to do." So we walked down this hill through a small forest to a city. We passed through the same square where we'd done many healings before. We walked by tall buildings, crossed the street, and went inside an apartment building. I asked the Lord, "Where are we?" He said, "Tel Aviv." On the other side of this building was the Mediterranean Sea. We went inside an apartment where a group of concerned Orthodox Jews were talking to each other. They couldn't see us. Jesus and I went to a room in the back where an elderly lady was lying in bed. Jesus put his hand on her forehead. She had a really bad fever. Jesus asked me, "You still have the emerald oil jar, right?" I said, "Yes, Lord." "Let her drink from it," Jesus said. I gave her to drink, and her eyes opened, gazing around. She could see me, but she could not talk. Her pain was intense. She also had gangrene on her left foot. I asked, "Lord, how do you want me to pray for her?" He replied, "Rebuke the fever," which I did, and the fever left. Jesus rebuked the pain in her foot, and her foot became normal. After that, she looked at Jesus, and he smiled at her. She stood up, totally healed and amazed at this miracle. She walked out of the living room, and one of the men standing around said, "Mom, you should be in bed. What are you doing up?" She said, "I'm fine. Jesus healed me. And yes, he is Yeshua HaMashiach, which is the proper title in Hebrew for Jesus Christ." She sat down in a big chair and they gave her something to eat. People were marveling and also grumbling among themselves. Now they could see me but couldn't see Jesus yet. The elderly lady said, "Jesus is Lord. He is alive. Listen to what she has to say." I said, "Yeshua HaMashiach, he is the Messiah. 2,000 years ago, he walked these very streets of Israel, did miracles, healed people, raised the dead, and you've rejected him, crucified him, but he rose to life. Follow him." One of the Orthodox Jews said, "This is blasphemy." I said, "Look, your mother is healed. You still don't believe? Let's make a deal. Bring me someone here who is sick, and if the Lord heals the person, then you will accept him and acknowledge him as Yeshua HaMashiach. A man on crutches walked to me. His leg was in pain. I took my emerald green jar and poured oil over his foot. Jesus was watching me. I rebuked the pain, commanded all the ligaments, bones to come into alignment with God's will. Then his foot went from flexion to extension. He pushed his crutches away and started walking. He was astonished. All the Orthodox Jews marveled at this miracle. Then Jesus materialized in front of them, and all of them fell like dead at his feet, calling him Adonai, Yeshua HaMashiach. Yes, indeed, the power of Jesus is limitless. We can do even greater things than he did. He will slay Satan with his breath.
If you'd like to learn more about these God-inspired teachings, please go to thegodfarm.com, and you can partner with us as we become co-creators together with God.